Welcome everybody to another Therapro webinar. This is wonderful. I'm Carol Kranowitz.
And I'm Joye Newman. And I wish we could see you.
Yeah, we've been working together for years and years, and we come up with the In-Sync Child program with activities. And tonight we are going to help you learn how to build your own In-Sync Child activities, simple and fun.
So our In-Sync Child approach is all about moving, and probably we're preaching to the choir here, but over the years, the more screens come into our lives, the less time children and adults are moving. And so the In-Sync Child approach and the activities we're going to teach you are all about getting parents comfortable with it or adults comfortable with it, and then their children comfortable with using their bodies. We believe that anybody that feels comfortable in his or her body's got a head start in life.
So kids are born to move. In utero, kids are moving, and they're practicing for the real world. Every time mom bends over to pick up the laundry basket, the child has an experience of moving too. And after 9 months, the child is ready to move on his or her own. However, every minute a child spends looking at a screen is decreasing the amount of time she's moving. And this is what Joy and I are preaching about all the time, that we need to encourage children to move because they want to move. Their bodies crave movement. And that's what we want to do, make it a world where that's possible and fun.
And I think also, Carol, we're educating the parents, because parents of young children these days, they themselves have been brought up with cell phones and computers. So Carol and I are in our 70s, so we remember times when none of those things existed, and when if you called someone and they didn't answer, you couldn't leave a message, or when you had to stand up to change the station on the television. And we were outside a lot, but even the parents of these children are not used to that. So part of our responsibility, and we hope you'll take this on as your responsibility too, is to train parents about how important movement is. It's not just play. It is, but it's also really, really much more important than flashcards or Baby Einstein or.
Right.
Yeah. So every movement a child makes develops or strengthens neural connections. And we've been told that most of this audience is OTs, so we might be reviewing stuff that you already know, but it's important to remember that every movement the child makes is developing or strengthening those neural connections. Carol?
Right. So these neural connections become the sensory, perceptual, and visual motor foundation upon which all future learning is built. These connections are the foundation of every child's development. Now, you probably know that all children go through the same developmental process, perhaps at a different pace, but in the same order. Development is sequential. So the sensory, perceptual, and visual motor skills that the infant has help the baby learn about her surroundings and about her body and what her body can do. And sequentially, the baby crawls, and then she can balance on 2 feet, and then she can walk. But she's not going to walk if she doesn't have those foundation blocks before her that develop best when the child has the freedom to move.
And I would say it's not just the freedom to move. There are all kinds of things out there in the marketplace that encourage children not to move. I saw something that you can put up over the changing table. So while your baby's diaper is being changed, he can be watching the iPad rather than bonding with the person who's changing his diaper. And in the malls, there's all kinds of push carts and things to put your baby in with a place to put the iPad so that the child is not only not walking or skipping or sliding or jumping, but he's not even looking around. He's just looking straight ahead of himself. So it's a battle. I think Carol would agree with me that we're fighting a battle here.
Yeah.
So children develop 90% of their brain power between birth and the age of 5. And this is a really, really special and important time. And there are a lot of adults out there who believe it's important to hurry up and get to where the 5 or 6-year-old should be, the kindergartner. My 3-year-old knows how to say the alphabet. My 4-year-old knows how to write his name. Who cares? I'd much rather hear that your 3-year-old loves rolling down a hill or loves climbing a tree. And rolling down a hill and climbing a tree are going to serve that child much better in 4th grade than knowing how to spell his name when he's 3.
Yes.
Another thing I'd like to mention about this is that many of the people who develop educational programs, not all of whom are educators, I might add, are designing programming with the assumption that these children at age 5 or 6 have the foundation, have those foundational skills. And many of these children we're finding are not. There's a lot of, well, we'll share with you in just a minute. There's a lot of evidence to say that these children are falling behind. So it's important that if any parents are out there, please ask us questions about this if it doesn't make sense. And if you are a therapist working with parents, please reiterate how important movement is to the early developing child. Carol, we'll read it together for you in case you missed the point. Excessive
screen use can be
hazardous to children's development. Yeah, that didn't work so well, Carol. Nevertheless, I think it's true. Okay, so here's some of the information that we've gleaned while we were preparing for this.
Okay, screen time. Well, of course, in the old days, there were no screens. 50 years ago, kids had less than 1 hour of screen time every day, and that was mostly limited to television. Today, the average child spends between 4 to 7 hours a day in front of screens, and this is including television, computers, cell phones, other mobile devices. 4 to 7 hours a day. Awesome.
Also, when I look at those, this is very subjective, but when I look at those two pictures, I'm much happier with the children on the left than the ones on the right. The ones on the right they're very intent in what they're reading, and I think they're actually a little older than the ones on the left, but the ones on the left are learning so much by throwing and catching that ball. And the ones on the right are only
relating to each other. They're looking at each other. They have distance between themselves, and they have to change how much oomph they put into their voices so they can make sure the other child hears them. And they're
right. The thing about the distance between them, they're working on their far vision, which is really important.
Right. Yeah. And their posture, look, they're standing upright instead of tipping their heads down and putting strain on their necks.
Right. So
by the way, we have a bunch of pictures here to show you, dear listeners, and these are courtesy of We Schoolhouse,
which is on Facebook. It's a really cool.
Yeah.
Physical activity then We rode our bikes. We engaged in 2 to 3 hours of physical activity each day through active play, walking to school, participated in sports or outdoor games, riding bikes, rolling down hills, jumping over puddles. Oh, that picture on the right makes me sad. In the present day, children now, well, many children, not all, now average less than 60 minutes of physical activity per day, significantly below the WHO's recommendation for health and development. So I think the picture on the left is much more joyous than the one on the right, but that's just, okay,
Sure.
Carol.
So obesity is a rising problem. 50 years ago, merely 5% of kids were considered obese as measured by body mass index standards. And today, obesity is up to almost 20%, nearly 4 times as many as there were 50 years ago. And children are more and more showing that they have type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, and energy and mood levels that are jeopardized because of lack of movement.
Yeah, when you talk about the mood in young children, mental health issues have just gone through the roof. There's tons of articles everywhere I read of emergency rooms just showered with children, young children and also teenagers with mental health issues. 50 years ago, they weren't commonly diagnosed and they weren't reported. So that is something to take into consideration. But there was less than 5% of the children showing signs of mental illness. Present day, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, 20% of children are now diagnosed with a mental health disorder, including anxiety, depression, and ADHD. I find that a staggering number. And those of you who are listening who tend to be physically active, when you're in a bad mood, you know to take a walk outside and you'll feel better. Just moving makes us feel better for all kinds of physiological reasons, which we don't have the time to get into now, but it does. And it's true for children too.
Yes.
Carol, you mind doing this chart?
No, this is,
I'm in charge of this. Okay. So this chart represents trends in the things that we just talked about. So it's kind of a regurgitation of the things we just talked about, but it shows you where the sources are for that information. And okay, that's the hard facts, but now we have the behavioral facts. Carol.
Yeah. So current research is indicating that 5 to 16.5% of the general population have sensory processing challenges or differences or disorder. And estimates are higher for those with ADHD and ASD. So that's a lot of kids. So every classroom has several children who warrant therapy, to occupational therapy usually, to help them get self-regulated and focus and be part of the classroom activities.
And my personal opinion, I think Carol probably shares this with me, is that this wouldn't be the case if they had been moving instead of in front of screens for the 5 years of their life.
Yeah, we are salespeople for movement, as you're going to figure out.
Yeah, according to the CDC, 11.4% of children in the United States between the ages of 3 and 17 have been diagnosed with ADHD. Now, there's a lot of controversy about what makes, what is ADHD and what's considered that. I believe that some of those diagnoses are not accurate. I believe there's other things that could go into ADHD. But when you're in front of a screen and the screen changes every 4 seconds, then you don't know how to keep your eyes straight or focus the way you would need to if somebody was about to throw a ball to you. Yeah.
Also,
Carol?
according to the CDC, about 2.8% of children in our country have autism spectrum disorder. This is 1 in 36. Every year there are more children. Compare this 1 in 36 for 2024 to 1 in 150 24 years ago.
And this breaks my heart. A 2021 study projects that more than half of the global population will develop myopia in, what is that, 15 years from now? No, 25 years from now, sorry. And myopia is what most of us know as nearsightedness, and there's no question that the reason that happens is because we're all looking at things 7 inches from our eyes instead of watching the pitcher throw the ball to you when you're running from base to base, or rolling down a hill and avoiding the tree that's in your way, or any of the things that you would be doing while you're running gleefully outside.
Think back for a second to the slide where it showed the 2 children throwing a ball back and forth to each other versus the
there.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, that's right. So the little kids on the left, they're using far point vision and near point vision. They're looking at the ball in their hand, perhaps, and then they're looking at their friend. They're calibrating how far to look, versus the little kids on the right who have something about 12 to 18 inches from their eyes all day long.
But not only that, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so the boy, I think those are 2 boys on the left are not only are they working on their vision, but they're working on their laterality because they're throwing with one hand and catching with another, which is going to help with handwriting. They're learning how to shift their balance in order to throw or catch. They're doing all kinds of things that are going to be important when they get to school. These ones on the right will be able to sit at their desks and maybe write, but I don't know what else they'll be able to do. Okay, so myopia projects. Okay, so I think we convinced you, right?
Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Movement
is
crucial for being in sync.
Yeah. Okay, we're not going to do any more doomsday stuff. Now, if you're not convinced now, you probably will never be. So now we're going to move on to the in-sync child approach. It's all about movement, big surprise, and fun. Carol?
Okay, the in-sync child approach makes movement purposeful. So everything that the kids are doing is for a reason. It's not just random movement.
They have to think about it, which goes into ideation, which is going to help when you write paragraphs when you're in 3rd grade. It can use the whole body. Sometimes it uses just different body parts, but it can use the whole body. And I think body awareness is kind of using the whole body, just to be aware of your whole body. But let's think back to those 2 boys that were sitting reading. They were using their eyes. I think their eyes might have been the only body part that was moving, right?
Maybe their right index finger.
Yes, maybe their thumbs. True. Okay.
The in-sync child approach is adaptable to all abilities and agilities. This is super inclusive. Everybody gets to play.
It's infinitely open-ended, which means once you understand how to do it and you're comfortable with it, and you will need to be comfortable being a little silly. We'll warn you about that. But once you're comfortable with it, you can use it anywhere, at any time, for any reason. And your child will love you for it.
And our approach encourages your child to think, not just get from one spot to another, but to think about how she's doing it and how she can do it differently and better and more funly.
Funly, I like that. It reinforces the child-adult relationship because you're both playing. You're playing, you're having fun, you're challenging. I personally have never met any child in my years of therapy and of being a parent and grandparent. I've never met a child who doesn't love being challenged and being able to say, I did it. And it
Yeah.
the instinct child approach used, I don't know if you can use it incorrectly. I think any way you use it will let your child say, I did it. I figured it out and I did it.
So the in-sync child approach is designed to develop and enhance sensory processing,
Visual processing,
physical coordination,
self-esteem, and that goes into I did it. I did it. Great words for a little kid.
Emotional well-being. I did it. I did it. I can do it. Give me something else to do, or let me think of something else to do. I can do it.
And we talked about how movement helps with emotion, helps people feel good physiologically.
Yes.
And, it can help with academic performance. And we say that because we believe that if this is used throughout your child's early childhood, your child's going to enter school with a great foundation for building academics.
Right. When he moves, he thinks better.
All right, so now we are going to just help you design an instinct child activity.
Yeah. So think about some movement words, some words about locomotion. And if you have a pencil and paper with you, jot down those words.
They can be silly, they can be serious, they can even be made up.
Yeah. We do that with our little kids. We come up with some funny words. But just think about some of them, and then we're going to show you how to develop that particular motion into an instinct child activity.
So here, just for the purpose of this presentation, we just came up with 4 words: march, slide,
jump,
and wiggle. And here, so you say to your child, choose any of these words you see on the screen or one of your words from your list, and say to the child, slide all around the room. And the child, if he or she's comfortable in his body, would probably do it on his feet, I would imagine. March from here to there, jump, wiggle, whatever it is. Just try to imagine, get a child in your head and imagine saying to that child whichever word you want to use, and watch the child do it.
Yeah, so like you put the spaghetti on the table and you say, instead of come to the table for dinner, you say, march to the table.
Or it's time to brush your teeth, jump down the hall to the bathroom.
Yeah. Okay, congratulations. You have just built your first instinct child activity. That is the core of our approach.
That's all it is substituting something that's basic and expected with something that's unexpected that uses the body. That's it. Now we're going to add a visual target. For example, something green or soft or square or tree. And you say to the child, oh, I wish we could interact here so we could hear somebody else's words. Let's a made-up word, squiggle to that tree over there. And the child will squiggle, whatever that means to the child, but they're looking at the tree. So they're now working on their vision. And as they move through space, They're learning about spatial awareness. They're learning about directionality. They're learning about motor planning, perhaps. I guess squiggling does take some motor planning, but
And body awareness.
all of the things that they're learning are things that are going to help them succeed when they have to sit in their desk in first grade and write a sentence. It's so much more fun than flashcards. One of the really nice things about the in-sync child approach or activity is that you can do it outside where there's much more space and there's tons of visual targets. Visual targets are really important to use as much as you can, especially when the children are moving. Okay, now we're going to add something else. Carol.
Body parts. Now, the first component of an in-sync child activity is a form of locomotion. That's the first component. The second component is the visual target. And now along comes body parts, which is the third component. And we're going to involve as much of the body as we can, rather than just the right index finger. So Joy and I can think of 3 different ways to use body parts. Joy, tell us about the first way.
The first one is moving on a body part. So let's use slide. As I said, probably if you say to your child, slide down the hall to the bathroom, they're going to do it on their feet. But you could say, show me how to slide on your bottom. Show me how to slide on your back. Show me how to slide on your tummy. Can you show me how to slide on one foot? And now you know your child, so you can determine how involved you want to make this because you want your child to be successful. If you're using this for therapy or if you're using this for older children, you can really think about how to work on the sensory skill that you're supposed to be working on therapeutically and put that into this fun activity. Another way to use body parts is
placing a body part on the visual target. So this is an idea would be wiggle to the teddy bear and put your chin on it. So you have wiggle is the motion, the teddy bear is the target, and the chin is the body part. And you can change this many, many different ways. You can go stomp to the teddy bear and put your chin on it. Jump to the unicorn and put your finger on it. You can vary the components, of course, and the child, we predict, will come up with his or her own ideas because it's just a fun game to think of different ways to move, different body parts to use, and different targets.
And one of the many great things about the in-sync child activities is you can do this with one child or you can do this with a classroom of children. Show me how to slide to your chair and put one elbow and one knee on it. Now, again, you're working with, if you have children that need to be working on laterality for handwriting, if they even still teach handwriting in schools, I'm not sure they do, but you can do it that way. Do it, put one hand and one foot on it with 2 opposite sides of your body, or put your head on it. And your children, ask the children for ideas too. They can come up with ideas too. The third way to use a body part is voting with a body part. And this isn't really a movement activity, but it is an in-sync child activity because it's got the children thinking about their bodies, motor planning, and using their bodies in novel ways. So
it is moving. Of course it's
not the whole, you're not moving through space. Okay. So you say to a group of kids, if you're ready to go to the bathroom, raise your foot. and the kids are going to look at you like you're crazy, and then they're going to raise their feet and they're going to giggle and they're going to laugh. And it hasn't added one extra minute to your day, but it has added a lot of learning and neurological growth to those kids. I do this with my granddaughters a lot. If you're ready to take a walk outside, raise your elbow or raise your bottom or raise one knee. It's all about using your body in ways that they're not used to using their bodies, but they should. Well, I don't want to say should because I'm not in charge of the world yet, but we want them to be able to use every part of their body. They live in these bodies for their whole lives. And the more they know about how their body works and all the different ways they can use it, the more successful they're going to be. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. Carol, would you agree?
I agree.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to make our in-sync child activity. And before I even say this, I hope you're thinking along with us and coming up with your own ideas. And when we're finished presenting, we're hoping we would love to hear the ideas that you've come up with. You can share them with Allison and she'll share them with all of us, because it's really pretty simple. It's just kind of letting go, sort of. Okay, modify.
Okay, all right. So 3 components, right? The movement, the visual target, the body part. And you can get a lot of mileage just with those 3, but we can certainly use modifiers too. So one is direction. So wiggle over to the teddy bear, or wiggle in a zigzag path to the teddy bear and put your chin on it. So you can move the target so that the child has a different direction to go to, or have the child go sideways. The child could go sideways to the
mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead, Joy, with level.
Oh, I'm doing this too. I thought you were doing. Okay, level.
Oh my
God. Find a way to tiptoe way up high to the wall and put your back on it. Can you show me a way to wiggle way down low over to the teacher and put your nose on her knee? Okay, pathway.
Okay, pathway. So pathway. Pathway is the zigzag. I'm sorry, direction is forward, or I'm sorry, I was confused a little bit. Direction is forward or backward or sideways. Pathway is zigzag or go straight or go in a circle or in a serpentine S-shaped way, and just vary the way the child moves toward the target. That's pathway.
Tempo is, can you tiptoe very slowly over to your chair? Can you stomp really fast to get in line to leave the classroom? So, and we should have said this a long time ago, you don't need to use all of these. You always use a motion word, but you don't have to use the motion and the modifier and the level and the body part and the visual target. You can use as many or as few as you want to. And simply by switching just one of these modifiers and using everything else the same, you've got a week's worth of activities right there.
Yeah. Another word about, a word about dynamic, which kind of goes with tempo. Dynamic is loud or soft. In music, when kids are learning to play a musical instrument and the music is fast, the instinct is to be loud, and when it's slow, to be soft. But it's fun to alter that so you could say to a child, can you tiptoe very
tiptoe loud, that won't work. Try another.
that can you march very quietly
And slowly.
yeah, or can you tiptoe slowly, or so change it up, and that will be fun because it's a surprise, and a surprise gets people's attention. So here are just 5 modifiers for all the activities that you're going to come up with tomorrow.
I hope everyone's taking notes because we really want to do this all together as a village. So this is kind of a review. Every instinct child activity is adaptable to your child's ability. So now that you know how to do it, you can think a little bit about the different children in your lives and what you would do to make it harder or easier for the child or children that you're working with. And you can play it with one child, with a group of children, indoors, outdoors, for 1 minute or an hour. And I was on Friday night, I was at a friend's house for dinner, and there were a bunch of kids there. Everybody's grandchildren were there, and they were quite loud and quite disorganized. And I went into the room and said, everybody sit on the couch and now jump on 2 feet to the straight line and put your nose on it. And they just all did it. Children love this stuff. They love to be challenged. They love to figure out ways to do it, and they love to move. It's magic, and it's not us. It's the kids, and it's your ability to come up with things to challenge them. But it really is magical the way it works. So
and, I want to say, Joy, that we could have put a 3rd bullet on this slide, which is every instinct child activity is appropriate for adults too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's really fun to do this in an adult group.
Yeah, when you and your kid or kids are comfortable with doing this, let them say it to you. Or you can say, how do you want me to get to the car? Give me some ideas of how I can get to the car. And they are learning by trying to figure that out. They're not going to say something they don't understand themselves. So that's learning. And every component of an instinct child activity is going to support academic learning. Every single aspect of it. And if you're interested in learning more about it, we're happy to talk with you about it, either as part of this presentation, or you feel free to send us questions through our website, which we'll share with you in a little bit. But we want the whole world to be doing this. We think it will make a happier, nicer, more gentle world if everybody did instinct child activities. So now we thought we would share with you one activity from each of our current publications. So this first one, Carol.
Okay, this is the year of mini moves for the instinct child, and this is, you can obtain this in a digital format, so you have it on your phone or your iPad, in your pocket or your purse, and it's also in hard copy in English, Greek, French, and Italian. And you can go to our website, and if you're interested, you can learn more about how you can get it. So this is a sample of an inside page. We have
a random week we picked because we liked orange that day.
Yeah, so we have 52 weeks, and of course you can do that week any week of the year. It's not organized by season or month. And each page has 7 mini moves, So look at Monday, where it says walk backwards while counting to 5. Now walk backwards in another direction. All right, so you've got the motion, walking, you've got the direction going backwards. You've got the counting, which is your academics. And then you switch it around so the child is going in a different direction. So he's learning directionality while he's counting and walking. Okay, so then you can say jump backwards, or you could say scoot backwards. You know, so you can make all those changes internally in this one tiny little day movement. Or look at Thursday. Move on 1 foot and 2 hands around the space. Now go the other way. So you could say, all right, now move on 2 feet and 1 elbow. And keep making all those changes so that this is infinitely expandable. The permutations are in.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead, Joy.
I'm sorry.
I'm done.
So when we were designing this weekly mini moves, it's funny. I can't remember which one, Carol. One of us thought that this was for a teacher for the classroom, and the other one of us thought that it was for a parent. I think I thought it was for a parent, and you thought it was for a teacher.
Uh-huh.
Our idea with this was just to get children using their bodies, simple little things that take maybe 20 seconds as they're written, or at the most a minute. But now that you are in-sync children, in-sync child, masterful people, you can make this change forever. You can use it just as a crib sheet for designing activities.
And Joy, before you leave that page, go back for a sec, please.
Okay.
Joy's right. I was looking at this as a tool for teachers. Kids, as we said at the start and throughout, kids gotta move. All of us gotta move. Nature has simply not designed us to sit quietly. So if a child is losing his focus and is fidgeting and squirming, it doesn't help, of course, to say sit quietly. That's the worst thing. The best thing is to have the child have an opportunity to wiggle and move. His behavior means something. He's saying with his fidgety behavior, I gotta move. So here are some really simple ways to get the child to do that movement. And I would say in any classroom, if you get the kids to do a stretch every, say, 8 or 10 minutes, you are really helping that child get regulated and organized and able to settle down. It's a lot better than saying to the child, settle down.
Sit in the corner.
Much better. Wiggle, and then you can settle down. Right. Okay.
So I thought of this as the parent waking the child up in the morning and saying, okay, before you get dressed, make a heart shape with your hands, and now with your legs, and now with your whole body. Now you can get dressed. And it's a way to wake up.
That's Wednesday.
Yeah, that was Wednesday. Okay, so this is these are our in-sync activity cards that were then made into an in-sync activity card book. And we did not come up with that title. Our publisher did. But here is what one of the cards looks like. So this is Slippy Slidey with a paper plate. And it says what you do. You ask your child to stand with 1 foot on a paper plate. And basically, you're having her slide the plate back and forth, up and down, blah, blah, blah. But you can also do it with put your elbow on the plate. Put your bottom on the plate. Put your knee on the plate. Put a pointy part of your body on the plate. What's the smallest part of your body you can put on the plate? And you have an infinite infinite number of activities to do, or with slippy slidey. Now, the way the activities in our book, which is coming up, and our activity cards and activity card book has what each activity is designed, as we designed it, to develop and enhance, ways to make it more challenging, and what to look for. Feel free to use that any way you want. You don't have to. You can play with these things. Play. We're offering them to you not to be followed word for word. These are ideas. And our hope for you as we teach you this stuff is that you'll use our information and the stuff that we've already come up with as a foundation for your own repertoire of activities. Here's the book we were talking about. Carol?
Yeah, so Joy and I have been friends forever, and one day we were taking a walk, and we were taking a walk on the towpath. We live in the Washington, D.C. area, so the towpath is between an old C&O canal and the Potomac River. And we were watching a toddler pushing his stroller on the towpath. And he could have pushed it into the canal or the river, but he was doing a pretty good job keeping it on the path. And the mom was right there letting this child push the stroller. And Joy and I just loved it, that this little kid was out of the stroller working on this problem of how to push the stroller in a straight line. And we were laughing about it, and we told the mom it looked like so much fun. And Joy and I looked at each other and said, let's write a book. So that's how Growing an In-Sync Child started, because we're completely on the same page about how to get kids moving and learning as they move. This book came out in 2010, and it's pretty evergreen. So here's an example from the book, Bye Bye Bubbles, where the adult blows the bubbles and the child has a paper towel roll and is catching the bubbles and then popping the bubbles in various ways. And when we were deciding to put this into our slideshow, we realized under what you need, we have bubbles, and then we have telephone book. And so this is 14 years old. Remember telephone? There used to be a thing called a telephone book. Okay, the activity itself is enduring. You can do that forever, but you don't need a telephone book. Anyway, here's some things that you can do with it. You can take away the paper towel roll, or if you don't have one to start with, it doesn't matter, because the child can catch the bubble on the back of her hand. Or you can suggest pop the bubble between your elbows, or stomp on a bubble as it floats down toward the grass. Again, using the body in myriad ways makes it interesting and fun.
Yeah, so this activity we designed basically for midlife crossing for those OTs in the audience, and we wanted her to stand on a phone book so that she would stand still and cross the midline as she was trying to catch the bubbles. But you can add those body parts, and you've got the visual target right there. And you change the body parts, and after a while, I imagine your children will be thinking up their own ways to do it too.
Instead of a telephone book, you can just take a stick and make a circle scratch a circle in the ground, and have that be where the child's base is. So will you please remember, dear friends, that movement is crucial for being in sync, and we are preaching to the choir. We know.
We think we are preaching to the choir. Yeah. Yeah, well, you say we're preaching to the choir. I hope so. When you said that, Carol, I just had this horrible thought of people saying "sit still," and I don't like those two words. "Sit still." This is the antidote to sit still.
Yes, the antidote to sitting still. Right. That's our program.
Yeah. All right. So please keep in touch. Our website is right here, www.insyncchild.com. We have 2 Facebook pages. One is called the InSync Village, and I'm kind of an aggregator on that one. I find articles that I think would be helpful about raising InSync children, which includes taking care of yourselves as adults. So I have some articles and some memes on there about how to keep yourself in sync. And then growing an InSync child, Carol.
That is mostly with tips on ways to get kids moving. There are sometimes clips from articles or webinars that we have written or done. I just put a few Thanksgiving things on the Facebook page, some ideas that I did with my grandniece, like sitting on the floor and picking pomegranate seeds out of a pomegranate. So these Facebook pages will give you some daily ideas of things to do.
Yep. These are just a review of our publications. Growing InSync Child is the book. The first part of the book is mostly theory. The second part of the book has a lot of activities. That was followed by the InSync activity card and card book, which has 50 more activities. And then mini moves, we showed you what that was about. That was a bunch of mini moves. And then over on the right is something that we hope will be available by the spring, if not sooner. It is a game called Move, and it is basically what we just talked about, how to build an InSync child activity with a lot of props. And the props are just cards with ideas, with words. And if you follow our Facebook pages or check back on our website, you'll know when that is out and when it's available. Carol?
Yes. So we also put together 10 webinars. There are 4 that give the basics of child development, sensory processing, perceptual motor skills, visual skills, and
I think just the introduction. The introduction was the first one.
The introduction, right. That's right. That's right. And then we have 6 on a specific tool. Masking tape is one. Shapes is one. Rope is one.
And
something stretchy things is another one. So they're just quick webinars that will give you 5 or more ideas about things to do with equipment that you have at hand, at home, in the clinic, or in the classroom.
And I would say that the activities in the book and the card book were designed for an adult and a single child, though they're adaptable for more. And the activities in the webinars are more for groups. Would you agree with that, Carol?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So stay in sync. Take a few minutes each day to give your children a moving experience to last a lifetime, and it will last a lifetime. We are very excited to hear your questions and your comments and your ideas. Allison, are you there?
Yeah, so the first question is going to be, what do you do when your students have significant delayed receptive language and ability?
You can use a lot of props. You can touch the body part that you want to happen. You could even model, I would say, one of the things I teach teachers to say is not do it this way, but show me your way too. And if you have somebody with limited receptive language, he or she is going to have a hard time. Might be too many words. So I guess I would model. And once you have modeled, you can say, now show me your way to do it. So that hopefully they're not doing it exactly the way you do it. But even if they are doing it exactly the way they're doing it, they're moving. And that's the important part.
And another idea would be not to use language, but to perhaps clap or vocalize that sounds that aren't words, or blink. And oh, there you are, Joy.
Okay, I know what you mean with it by that.
Well, if the child doesn't have receptive language, it could be that the words are the stumbling block, but by well, if you demonstrate an activity with your own body, and I'm thinking of clapping or jumping, you could be speaking to the child through your body language, and that might be attractive, or it might be engaging for a child. Just an idea.
Okay, any more questions?
Very good. So the next comment is, no question, just thanks. As a CODA that's been practicing for 34 years, I've been preaching movement for kids forever. All right, so let's just leave this open for another minute or so, but I think we have very few questions tonight. So I think we have answered everything that's going to come in. So we'll
share their activities, their ideas for activities.
Do we have any ideas? Let's see.
There's got to be somebody clever out there.
Yeah. All right. Just Rachel asking if the webinar will be available later. And yes, Rachel, we're going to post this on Therapro.com's website in about a week or so, just to give us a little bit of time to edit and get it back up on the site. So just be on the lookout for that.
And we'll put it on our website also, the InSync, www.insyncchild.com. Thank you, Allison, for helping us make that available to people.
Yeah, of course.
I'd like to just hold up two publications just to clarify something. This is the cards, and it comes in a box, and they're cards like this. Cards like this, and you can keep them in your pocket or something. And then people wanted a book to use it a different way. So the same activities are in this book, and that's that.
Very good. All right. So Joseph has got an idea for us. Crawl all the way to the bathroom to wash your hands. And now we have another question that's come in. How do you address movement away from screens in public schools, especially older grades, to address some of the concerns mentioned in the beginning of the webinar?
Would you repeat that?
Sure. How do you address movement away from screens in public schools, especially older grades, to address some of the concerns mentioned in the beginning of the webinar?
I wish I knew the answer to that. I would have that school have us come out and speak to the teachers, because unfortunately, I think even the teachers don't completely get it. Hold on one second, Carol. Feel free to share any of the information from this with the teachers. And I think we're going to be going through this for a while. I think just now people are starting to realize the harm in screen use and social media. And we're not psychologists, so we can't really speak to the social media aspect of it. We can just speak to the dearth of movement that is created by the overuse of screens. And if you're if you're really interested in that, feel free to contact us through the web, either the website or one of the Facebook pages, and we'll try to work with you to give you a list of things. If you think the teachers and or principal in your area would be willing to read articles about it to learn more, we would be happy to do that for you.
I have a simple suggestion, and I don't know if it's possible, but to me it seems simple for the teacher to have a basket at the front of the room, and the children come into the classroom and put their devices into the basket, and they get it back when the bell rings.
But it's not just phones, Carol, it's also they're given laptops, and they're given, I assume that's what this person is talking about. They're giving laptops and they're given iPads to use in school. So children don't have to look. So here's a problem with it. Children used to have to look at the chalkboard and then look down at their paper to copy something from the chalkboard. And that helps the eyes switch from far to near and helps develop some visual skills. Now they're only looking in front of themselves. And I don't think that we're going to get rid of screens in the classroom. The best that we can hope for is that there's more movement added to the school day to counteract that, maybe.
Yeah,
even the older grade, you could say to 7th graders, find a way to move on 2 hands and 1 foot to line up at the door to go to your next period. And some kids will look at you like you're nuts, and some kids will love it. And I bet if we did a study on that over the course of a school year, we should do that, Carol. We should do a study. I bet there are less mental health issues, and I bet the grades would improve, and I bet behavior would improve. So whoever asked that question, if you want to work with us on developing a study like that, get in touch.
Perfect. Very good. All right. So I think that does close out our questions that we've had come in. So thank you everyone for participating. Thank you, Carol.